Welcome, everyone, to the next edition of the Military Spouse Book Club. So, today we are talking about a fantabulous book called You're Never Weird on the Internet Almost, which we can all pretty much relate to. So, let me just explain really quick how this all is going to work. This is our monthly book club through Military Spouse Magazine. What it is each month we have some fantabulous host, or hosts in this case, to help facilitate talking about the book and basically just having a really, really awesome time. In the future, if you would like to register, you'll be sent a link, and there will be several other areas on the site. We'll be able to give you that information. So what to expect tonight? Tonight, we have Katie Foley and we have Brian Alvarado as our hosts, and I'll talk about them in just a second. One of the things that I really want to concentrate on, and this is super, super important because you could really win some good stuff out of this, we have a social media contest. During this Google Hangout, if you tweet if you tweet and Facebook a photo of yourself watching the Hangout using the hashtag MSBookClub. Okay, so picture of yourself, tweet and Facebook this photo, hashtag MSBookClub. The winner will be announced at the end of the book club, and they will win a free copy of August's book club book, which we will announce that book at the end. So get your cameras ready. Put your lipstick on, get your hair did, and you better start taking some photos. Hashtag MS Book Club. Okay, so I'm thrilled to introduce you to Brian and Katie. So Brian is Military Spouse of the Year for 2015 through the installation of Coronado, Naval Base Coronado, if I'm not mistaken. And he's super amazing, fantastic. I'm going to let him introduce himself as well and explain a little bit. And Katie Foley is the Independent Reserve Installation Winner of the Year for a Military Spouse from 2014 and 2015. 2 years running. That's what's up. Both of these individuals are very good friends of ours. They're fantastic. They're going to make you laugh. They can make you cry because you're laughing so doggone hard. So, without further ado, I'm going to introduce them. They're going to be helping lead our discussion tonight. So, let's go ahead, and I'm going to hand this off to Brian and Katie to go ahead and introduce the book.
I'll let Katie go first. Introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Katie Foley. I'm so excited to be here tonight. Thank you so much for inviting us, MJ. And obviously, what we're doing tonight, because he is in the whole life. It's awesome, hilarious book. I really appreciate humor, so I'm really excited about it. And I'm really excited to be here. Right?
Hey, Katie.
Yes.
Really quick. There's a little bit of an echo on your mic. You want to just check that out? But I love. We can see your beautiful face and everything that you're saying, so that's fantastic.
Yay! Okay, let me see. A lot of times everyone's got their mics on, so I've been turning my mic off while everybody else's mic is on. That way I can't hear you coming through.
Sure. While you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and let Brian introduce himself and kind of give a little bit of a summary as well about the book.
Hello, everybody. My name is Brian Alvarado. I'm a Navy military spouse, proud Navy military spouse. My husband has been in the Navy for 17 years, and it's been quite an adventure. I was asked to be a part of this book club. The first book I thought about was this memoir from author Felicia Day. Because we live in such a digital age, and a lot of us maintain relationships, and a lot of us live our lives on a day-to-day basis using the internet. And Felicia Day's experience with the internet really kind of touched on a lot of places for me. A little bit weird like me. And all of us. We all have our quirks. But what I really wanted to do was to introduce my military spouse friends to this book and this story, because within the military spouse community, people come into our lives every 2 or 3 years, and then they leave. And the internet is a great way for us to maintain those relationships and give us the opportunity to keep friendships going. So that's why I chose this book. You're muted.
Durr. Word. I gotta tell you, whenever I read anything about somebody embracing that about themselves, about being weird, as it were, I always think, oh my gosh, I'm not the only one. Holy crap, you know. And so I kind of felt that way about Felicia's book as well. Katie, you still with us?
Yes.
Word. Okay. So Josh Whedon's Forward, and Josh Whedon, for those of you who don't love Firefly like I do, you know, that awesome show that never ever got canceled, and I totally just dated myself, didn't I? So he says in his Forward that we live in a culture that makes it hard. Okay, it makes it hard to be weird. There were many moments in Felicia's memoir, you know, that kind of portray that difficulty that like she had in finding that place to belong. So I'm kind of curious, what can you tell me about some of the most notable moments in, you know, in your experience that that has to do with not fitting in because of your passion? Like, do you have any notable moments that you can speak of?
Yes. I'm an incredibly awkward person all around. I really, reading the book, sorry, I'm echoing a little bit. Reading the book, I could feel where she was coming from, because she felt so in a different situation. A couple of years ago, I went to Home, which is an amazing movement. MJ, your mic, we're talking, it should take away the echo. Is that better? Yay! Okay, so a couple of years ago, I went to DC to go to Homefront Rising. And I got there, and it's a great organization. It was a great opportunity for me to be there. I went because I was really curious about how people had utilized social media to really motivate an entire group of people to do something. And in the case of Homefront Rising, they had used social media to motivate people to get involved in politics. That fascinated me, just the concept of using social media like that. So I went to Homefront Rising, and I was in this group of military spouses who, for the most part, were all attorneys or worked in politics. And here I was, this stay-at-home mom who just, you know, writes books in her spare time. And so I felt really awkward and out of place, and it wasn't I didn't feel like it was my group of people, like I didn't fit in. The really cool thing was, when I got there, I realized that everybody else was feeling that too. Everyone else had come out of their own little comfort zones and jumped into this grassroots movement that ended up being this really great thing. So that's my feeling out of place thing. I think that it would surprise people to find how out of place a lot of us feel together. We feel like we're out of place and alone all together.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned that. I was just talking to a friend about that the other day, and about how, you know, sometimes we feel like we're the only ones, and one of two things happen. We say nothing and just kind of suffer in silence, or we use that to our advantage. And I've seen it work both ways, but I've seen more of an impact when we use it to our own advantage. Wouldn't you say? Word. And for those of you who are viewing, I know the person who I'm speaking of is watching right now. Hashtag MS Book Club. So,
I'd like to pipe in for a second, if I can.
please.
For me, it's kind of obvious that I am different than the majority of military spouses. I knew that going in. I went through a lot of turmoil, actually, internally, about joining the military community because I'm different. And one of the great stories of my life is that I took that opportunity to put myself out there and try to put aside my own fears and my own doubts about myself and what it was going to be like. And I ended up being embraced more so in the military community than probably any other community I've been a part of in my life. It will always be one of the greatest things that has happened to me was to be a part of this military community. So my advice is to try to get outside of your head a little bit if you can. I know it's hard, but if you can do that, good things can happen.
I think that's very well said. Yeah, it's very easy to get stuck in one's head. Happens to me several times. That's why I'm always ending up with brain farts, and that's why word is always coming out of my face. It's because sometimes I'm all up in my head, and that's my only response. That's my stock answer, right? No, but you bring in an interest, and you bring up an interesting point in that, you know, this community, most of the people that are in this community, whether they've met in person and just cultivated that relationship, or, I mean, just like we were talking about earlier, there are friends that we have never met, and we're just as tight-knit as we would be if we were next-door neighbors. You know what I mean? Thank God for social media. Thank God for technology sometimes. Sometimes it's the bane of our existence, especially around election season. But in this case, it's fantastic. However, we do have to remember that there are things that we put out there that we're under a microscope. Even though it's meant for our friends, meant for our family, meant for all of our connections, people can utilize that for not so great things. So we are exposed. We're exposed to the internet. Okay, so how are we? I want tips. I want tricks. I want to know, without having to completely delete myself from the web, how can we keep how can we have OPSEC? How can we keep OPSEC in mind without completely ruining our visibility, or, you know, not being able to show our family and friends what we're doing, where we're at, and how we're doing it?
Well, I think that that's one of the most important things about being within the military community is how do we embrace technology? How do we enjoy building relationships through social media, but doing it responsibly? And the Department of Defense has given us very clear directives on what we can and cannot do online to keep our families safe. And the bottom line is, with regards to OPSEC, you just don't put anything out there. that's going to put yourself in danger or your service member in danger. So if you just take myself, for example, people that have come into our lives, my husband and I's lives, for the last, I don't know how many years. Facebook has been around 10, 9, 10, 8, 9, 10 years. These people, they know us. They follow us. They know what's going on in our lives. They get to see all of the joys and the adventures that we have. But what they don't see is when my husband is inside a secured building, or that my husband's deploying to the Middle East for a TAD or whatever. There's just it's very simple. The tips and tricks are very simple. It's one, don't put anything on the internet that has anything to do with where your service member is going, what your service member's doing while they're going there, or what's really going on in your home. I saw a great post a while back that talked about the power of the internet and the things that are available on the internet. So a person can put a post online, and on Facebook it tells you what city that person's posting from. So I put a post online, and I say, you know, having a glass of wine at home, and Facebook says I'm in San Diego. So if my profile and my location settings are public, anybody can look up my name and the city of San Diego's public record and find out that I own a home in San Diego. And they can find that address. And they can drive by my house and see my car parked out front with a bumper sticker that says the other half of my heart is in Afghanistan. And that person's then going to know that I'm home alone, my spouse is deployed in Afghanistan, and I could be an easy target. And a lot of people live their life not thinking about that, and that's fine. We're not supposed to live our day-to-day life in fear, but we can be vigilant, and we can avoid putting too much information out there. So your security settings on your social media is very important, and then please don't put a bumper sticker on your car that says my other half is in Afghanistan. So that's my advice.
You know, it's really funny you say that. You know, those bumper stickers and like the back of the car stickers that say like half my heart is here, half my heart is there. Even the little family, you know, the little miniature family things. Those are all breaches of operational security in many different ways. Some people even put their little names underneath each character. It's bananas. But what I think is even funnier is that when I go to the exchange, that is where I find these things. And it's funny. I used to be a readiness and deployment support trainer. So I used to teach OPSEC to military spouses and brief it at pre-deployment briefs or whatever. And my job exists because of operational security breaches. No joke, communication was completely shut down during a deployment when somebody, and we've all seen it, when somebody has posted a picture of a map on their Facebook page with a big fat red arrow that said, "We are here." Boom, no communicado. Whoever that Marine was probably got a talking to. But
Can I interject for a second?
yeah.
Okay, so operational security, we all know it's important. Obviously, that's what we're talking about right now. I think that as a parent, a lot of people don't stop to take into consideration operational security as it applies to their children. I know my kids are constantly playing video games. They're constantly, you know, they're huge fans of the YouTubers, and so they get on and they look for these YouTubers, you know, gamers on their Xbox so they can play them. What a lot of parents aren't taking into consideration is your child's propensity for talking to people. And it's great. It's great to encourage the communication. And I mean, in my home, everything here is digital. I make a living from the internet. So we encourage a lot of interaction and different things like that. However, the thing as parents, for for any of the viewers who are parents, that you really need to be aware of is, who are your children talking to, how are they talking to them, when are they talking to them, and what information are they giving. And I'm not going to be the parent that says your kids shouldn't have access to this and this and this, because my kids have access to a lot of it. But I'm consistently checking every message that's sent. I don't know how many times my kids have had to come and dump their iPads and their cell phones and their DSs and their all of this stuff on the couch next to me, and I go through and I look at every single message, because it's not just the sticker that's not on the back of my car, and it's not just the DOD decal on the window or where I'm shopping. It's not just that. It's a lot of people don't take into consideration the information that can be gleaned from your kids, because they don't know any better. They're so proud of the fact that daddy's off killing bad guys, or flying airplanes, or whatever it is that he's doing, that it doesn't occur to them that they shouldn't talk about it. So aside from checking in on what information your kids are putting out there, make sure you're talking to your kids about what information they shouldn't be putting out there.
And I'd like to just give a little bit of an example. I had the honor of being the family readiness group president for my husband's previous command, and they did a deployment last year, and I was astounded at the amount of service members that were checking in on Facebook. They were checking in when they were at the airport. They were checking in, posting pictures of having a beer in, I believe it was Ireland, on their stopover, and then they were checking in when they got there. So the reality is that the military members are told what to do all day, every day, all day long. And sometimes they can get complacent. So as a military spouse, I even myself sometimes have to go, Matthew, you probably shouldn't be posting that picture on Facebook. So, so yeah, MJ's look at the look on MJ's face is priceless, because that's running a risk in itself. But in order to really truly protect yourself, your family, your service member, we all need to be vigilant. We all need to be talking about this, because the threat is real. It's a society that we live in, the world that we live in, and at the end of the day, I want my family to come home safe every day. So.
No, that's absolutely the goal. It's interesting, because in talking about operational security, a lot of us, including myself, I used to think, people are going so overboard. Like, I'm not going to erase my footprint, my digital footprint, because I'm scared, or because of this, or because of that. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do that because I didn't want to decrease my visibility, because what if someone somewhere needed to get a hold of me outside of my friendship circle, and I had an answer that they needed that was make or break something. I wanted to be able to be gotten a hold of. And then some friends of mine were hacked about 1.5 years ago by this cyber caliphate. Military spouses who were noteworthy and visible in the public eye got hacked, and it was the scariest thing ever. And ever since then, I've been hyper vigilant. I've been hyper vigilant because I know them, and I've heard their stories firsthand, and I've felt their fear. But the other side of that is also what we want to put out there. So, we know we have to be careful. I mean, that's just a given. Everybody has their challenges. This is one of ours. But there's something, what? Let me look at the quote, because Felicia, the author, had this quote, and she said, this is what she wrote: I am determined to create something or express myself, no matter how hard it is, even if my mom is the only one who sees it. And she says this is the embodiment of how I live, how I view the web. This is how she views the internet. So I'm curious to know especially based on the conversations that we've had, how do you view the web? And I mean, like, what does it mean to you? And this is a vast universe. What does it mean specifically to you?
So I'll take. You know, I grew up. My very first report in school was written using the Encyclopedia Britannica that was in my library at home. And if I wanted information, I had to either, you know, go through all the shelves in my library, or I had to go down to the public library or the school library and look for information. And then the internet happened, and it wasn't as great as it is now, but the internet happened, and I could sit down at an actual computer, not a typewriter. I could sit down at a typewriter and type out the words I was on whatever I was looking for, and it was there in front of me. And that's what the internet is for me. It is access to all the information. And it's a lot of why I don't limit my kids, you know, internet access, their screen time. I don't limit it because they're constantly, you know, my son wants to know about, just the other day, he wanted to know about, I won't even get into all the scientific words, but he basically wanted to know about the lines on bullets and what causes them and what creates them when a bullet is fired. He's 9, and he sat down on his iPad, and he started looking, and he started reading. And this is a child who has really struggled to read for years. And he looked up kerf marks and, you know, all of the different, you know, scientific words as he was thinking of them, because he watched an episode of CSI with me, and he was able to sit down and figure out all this different scientific stuff that when I was a kid, I would have had to sit on the floor with all of my Encyclopedia Britannicas to get, you know, the information that was printed in the 60s. Not that I was alive in the 60s, I really wasn't, but our books were from the 60s. But that's what the web is to me. It is access to all of the information, and sometimes it can be information overload, but that's where we have to be, you know, responsible internet users and figure out what is accurate information, how much is enough information, how much is not enough information. But that's what it is to me. It's access to all of the things.
I honestly couldn't have said that better myself. I was thinking exactly what you were saying as you were saying it. There's a joke that's been around in my family for a while that Google has made me the smartest man on the planet because anytime we, you know, you're randomly just in the car or at the park or somewhere, and somebody says, "Who was that actor in that one movie?" And you can IMDb that thing so fast that, you know, and so you have the information. And I love that. I feel like it makes us engaging in conversation and whatnot. But I also seriously, I think about, and I agree so much with what Katie said about, you know, what is correct information, what is too much information, and I think that that's something that our society really struggles with. Is just because it's on the internet doesn't make it true. There's a lot of blogging that goes on, which is opinionated, that you can read into, you can form your own conclusions, but at the end of the day, what the web means to me is a little bit different. The web means to me what we've talked about before. It's maintaining relationships. My family doesn't live in San Diego. We talk frequently on the phone, and we obviously have holidays together. Side note, quick note, my family, awesome story. We do Thanksmas. So on Thanksgiving, we all get together at my parents' house, and we celebrate Thanksgiving. Half of us cook Thanksgiving dinner, and the other half of us decorate my parents' house for Christmas. So then we have Thanksgiving dinner, and then the next morning we wake up and have Christmas, so that all of us spouses can be with our other spouses' families for Christmas. Just a fun little Alvarado family tradition. But it helps. The internet helps me keep keep up with what's going on in my brother's life. It helps me keep up with what's going on in my sister's life. It definitely helps my mother and my mother-in-law keep up what's going on in our lives, which is always fun. So that's really, for me, what the internet really does to enhance my life, is definitely maintaining and building relationships with not just military spouses, not just friends, but family as well.
That is so cool. Okay, so you know what the internet means to me. First of all, it means that I have friends. Not that I don't have friends here. We're all dispersed, and I don't know, you all have driven in D.C., so getting from point A to point B, I'm just saying, you might as well live across this stinking country sometimes. So, yes, this is my connection, just like you were saying, Brian. But for me, what the internet is to me is a gut check. It helps me to maintain my authenticity. And I say that because whether people are watching or not, I have to consistently say, is what I'm putting out there going to be read the way that it was meant to be read? Is the message going to get lost in translation? And would I say it if the person were standing right in front of me? As long as that answer is always yes, then my authenticity is in check. So that is what it means to me. And just a side note before we go on to the next awesome little project, I've been receiving a few text messages and and Facebook messages and such, and I'd just like to read them to you really quick. Brian, he made a great point when he was putting out his advertisement for telling his friends about everybody about this book club. Was, hey, put on your PJs, grab a glass of wine, let's chill, let's hang out. I have my red Solo cup. I was asked by Natasha Harth, hey, Natasha, what's in that cup? And I said, water? But, of course, autocorrect doesn't correct when you want it to. So it spelled something else, and she said, oh, okay, by the spelling, I guess I could guess. And then Stacy Benson said, I see you. And then Lindsay Bradford said that every time she sees me, she thinks of the girl on the motorized suitcase. You guys see that? Yes, you guys have seen that. I know you have. The motorized suitcase. So thank you for lifting my spirits and for watching. And inside I'm laughing, and it's very hard not to do that out loud. Now, second thing, hashtag MS Book Club. Blow it up. You all are social media hounds. I know it. I've seen it. I've lived it. Blow it up. And just to help you out, if you need a little assistance, Brian here is going to show us how to do a perfect selfie. Brian, if you would.
So this was just a fun way to just interject a little bit of excitement into the book. There it is, MJ. So not all of us were born supermodels. Myself being a prime candidate of not being born a supermodel. But going back to the conversation about maintaining relationships and letting people see who you are and be a part of your life, is the phenomenon known as taking a selfie. And I went to, let me go back. I did not jump on board with the selfie thing until 2014. I was on social media. I participated in social media. I didn't get on board with the selfie thing until I went on a trip to Europe, where I went backpacking with my best friend for 3 weeks, and he asked me why I was not posting selfies, and I was like, I don't even know what that is. This was 2 years ago, and so my best friend taught me how to take a selfie, and the first one looked a little bit like this. Yeah, are you seeing this? That's what it looked like. It was not good. So
I'm sorry. No, I love it. I'm sorry. I love that face. I love your face.
So through some selfie education, I learned a couple of really important tips. The first one is to remember that when you're taking a selfie, that you need to try your best to look like a giraffe. So you can go from this to that. See the difference? Oh, there it is. No, no. Point number 2, MJ, no duck face. Do not go with the duck face.
Okay, please know that I don't. You can look at every Facebook photo that I have. You will not find one duck face. I make fun of my daughter with that mess. That is me being an ass.
So the first one is I'm totally going against this next bullet point, which is find the best lighting, because in California it is the prime sun time. I'm right next to the window. Lighting is you could basically see everything. So you're gonna want to try and find some better lighting. I like Katie Foley's lighting. Can we have Katie Foley pop in here for a second so her picture can come up? She has the best lighting. Look at this lighting.
So what I actually did is I have a lamp behind me, and then I have my light on in my office above me, and I have a desk lamp in front of me that is not directly shining on me, but it's kind of turned. And a lot of that I learned from when I worked on House of Cards, from filming in House of Cards. The lighting was insanely bright, and there were lights everywhere. So it was never dark behind you, unless you know the scene called for it. But it was never dark behind anybody. It was never dark in front of anybody. There were never shadows on the faces, because a shadow will completely ruin your photo. It's just the worst.
So I wanted everybody to see Katie up close, because she has perfect lighting. Again, avoid the selfie cliches like the duck face. You want to be your authentic self. A very dear friend of mine who happens to be on this book club right now told me something recently about being your true self, and that is something that just rings so much in my head about being true to yourself. So I don't post a lot of selfies, but when I do, it's usually I'm working and I'm wearing a fancy pocket square, because that's kind of my thing, and I'm kind of putting that out in the world because that's what my friends like to see. One other thing, consider your background. Once again, Katie Foley's got a great background. She's got some great windows back there. It's giving off a cool vibe for a reflection. I have my living room, so I didn't think this I didn't think this part through.
Okay, I'm just going to say this right now. Usually, as in typically, when we used to do it during the daytime light, where I had this awesome forest behind me and I looked cool, the lighting was fantabulous. But now I am on this poorly lit back porch, which I am going to fix, thanks to your lovely suggestions. Because I can't go inside and do it, because guess what? I'm not going to be in there when my son is playing Xbox, screaming his head off at his friends. But today, you get my computer face. You get my computer screen lighting face. Sometimes in a pinch, it works.
Well, you look beautiful as always, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. And that's the main thing. You're sharing selfies to let people know what you're doing during your day. You're sharing selfies maybe to just give a little content of your life to your friends on the internet. So don't overthink it. Don't spend 12 hours taking 400 different selfies to find the one that's going to work the best. Because the people who love you, which are the only people that matter, are going to enjoy seeing your beautiful face on their newsfeed. So those are my tips for taking the selfie. Remember the giraffe, and remember Katie Foley's lighting.
Can I share my favorite selfie I think I've ever taken?
Do it.
Okay.
We're live. We run this.
That's Natasha Harth, right after she was named the Military Spouse of the Year this last year. And all I could think to do was run up and take a selfie with her. Because, you know, first let me take a selfie. Because selfies are just really important in my line of work. All right, you can have it back now.
I hope everybody is utilizing this information. Like, I hope you are seriously taking in all of these tips. And right now, hashtag MS Book Club without the duck face. I don't know how to pretend to do a selfie without doing that because I don't think anybody will know that's what I'm doing. I don't know, whatever. I don't do enough selfies. I'll have to work on it. But it is a way to stay connected. Like, you know, I mean, like every now and again, if I'm having a good her day, I'll go ahead and post a picture. 9 times out of 10, I'm happy for my family to see it because they're dispersed all over the doggone country. And it's stinking hard to stay connected to them. It's hard to stay connected to our friends, you know what I mean? But it's kind of cool because we're able to do that. Like, we're able to sustain friendships through social media. Like, it's the weirdest thing. We meet a lot of different people. Like, that's our perk. There are a lot of negatives about being a military spouse. Another thing that I was talking to somebody about the other day. A lot of negatives, sure. But it's all about perspective. It's all about choice. How do you choose to think about it? We have an opportunity to meet all these different people from all these different places, right? We move so often. Sometimes we stay put. Sometimes we move every, 6, 7 months, Katie, right? Because you're going to speak to this one. I know that's right. How does the internet help build and bridge the gap to maintain those friendships?
So, like I said earlier, I can be really awkward. I feel really awkward a lot of times in social settings, and so it makes things awkward for me. When we moved from 29 Palms to Camp Lejeune, just before we moved, or Lejeune, I guess it's actually said now. It was Lejeune when we lived there. I don't know what you guys did to it.
Okay, me too, and I was in a classroom full of Marines today, and I said Camp Lejeune or Lejeune, depending on what era you're in.
When we moved from 29 Palms to Camp Lejeune, I had been a member of this group called Corps Wives, and when we got to Lejeune, I realized that the girl who lived across the street from me was also a member of this internet group before Facebook was ever around. It might have been during MySpace days. Anyway, she was a member of this group, and so it opened up this conversation and kind of allowed me to start conversing with her and several other people. And then that group kind of progressed into this group called Devil Dog Divas. And so when we moved from Lejeune to Pendleton, I knew a girl who was at Pendleton because she was a member of Devil Dog Divas. And so that opened up a whole group of friends for me to make when we got to Pendleton. When we moved, go ahead.
I was going to say, you found your people. Your people! It's like finding somebody, like, I'm from Detroit. And if I'm in an airport in Atlanta and I see somebody wearing a Detroit Tigers hat, I'm going to be like, yo, dude! You know Eminem, just like me, because that's what everybody asks us if you're from Detroit. But I there's an instant connection, and that's kind of Yeah,
so every time we've moved, I've been able to kind of go ahead and connect with people before I ever get to where I am because of the internet. I'm here tonight because I met MJ. I met MJ online. And I got involved with Military Spouse Magazine because I met Erin Whitehead online. And a lot of the things that I've been able to do and the friends that I've been able to make have all happened because of the internet. And so when it comes to friendship building, I think, the internet is such a huge deal. You can find your people. I remember when I first joined the Marine Corps, we'd ask each other, where are you from? Where are you from? Where are you from? And it was so exciting, like you were saying, to find people who were from your area, or if you knew someone who was from that person's area, and now you can just hop on Facebook and find out, and which isn't altogether a good thing, but you can hop on and find people that are your people that you would normally associate with. So.
Actually, Natasha messaged in and said, and I quote, "The internet is a tool for information, whether we are giving it or whether we're receiving it." So I feel like, hold on, something is happening to the computer. There we go. Okay, I'm still here. You haven't lost me. Can you hear me now? You guys, please tell me you've seen that commercial. Please tell me you've seen the new... Okay, not even going to talk about it. We'll talk offline about it. I need another glass of wine. Or solo, or whatever it is. Okay, really quick. I'm going to ask this one question, and then I think Karaya is bringing in the numbers. Last chance, hashtag MS Book Club. Write it down, take a picture, put on some lipstick. Do the face without the duck face, without the duck. The face without the duck. So Felicia Day is the author of this book, and she's pretty quirky in societal terms. She wasn't always. She's not as she appears to be. Just like there's only so much that you can see from a person on the internet, right? Like there's only so much of our lives that we let out. That's why I make the internet my gut check, in terms of authenticity. But there's always that private part of ourselves that nobody else sees. Only the people who are super close to us or live with us see that part, right? So in Felicia's case, she used to be an overachiever. Okay, like little high strung, and believe that striving for something is only worth it if you have the right motivation. Okay, so we all have our own motivations and our own passion behind why we do what we do, no matter what it is. Doesn't matter if it's art or business or politics or being a parent or being a spouse. We all have that passion, that motivation that makes us the best. But there are right reasons, and they're individual to us. So I want you to kind of think outside of the box here. What are your right reasons? And I'm going to put it to the audience as well if you want to type in. What are your right reasons? Why do you do what you do? Felicia, she put it out there. You have to strive for it if it's worth it. You're not going to if it's not. So, what do you strive for?
Well, first, I want to give props to my husband who refilled for me, and because this is not a water in the red Solo cup. One of the things when I look at this question, and think about the internet and think about the internet's place in my life, one of the things that helps me to live in this world where technology is in a place where a lot of my relationships, be it in my career, I'm a real estate agent, and everything's so digital now. So the majority of my real estate transactions that I do are all done through the internet. A lot of my friendships are maintained on the internet. A lot of my relationships with my family maintained on the internet. I met my husband on the internet, as he just so pointed out. The main thing to remember is how you use the internet is going to give you the result of what you get out of the internet. if you, and again, I just had this conversation about this recently. What you put out in the world on the internet is what you're going to get back. If you look, if you know who I am, and some of my friends are on here, and Katie and MJ are my friends, you will never see me ever post something negative on the internet. It's not the energy that I want to put out into the world. We get enough of that in other avenues, in other ways. The way that I use the internet is to put out positive things, to talk about the great things that are going on in my life, to talk about the great things that are going on in my family's life, to share precious moments with our extended family when some of us are gathered together and we're barbecuing, and we want the rest of our extended family across the nation to see what's going on. That is really what I feel makes my passion for my involvement with the internet inclusive of everybody, because I don't want to put out partisan information. I don't want to put out negative information. I don't want to put out information into the world that is going to exclude anybody from being a part of my life. I think that everybody that has come into my life has contributed in one way or the other, and I appreciate everybody. And so that's kind of what Felicia Days, the author of this book, what I found so connected to her with was that she kind of felt that same way. So.
You know, a couple of things. And first off, I want to see y'all's photos. Somebody post some photos. And I want to hear what you guys, I want to hear your outside the box answers. But one of the things for me is, you know, my motivation for doing my best. I have a couple of motivations. I've got 3 kids. They can either motivate or, you know, demotivate the crap out of you, depending on the day. But so they're a big motivation. But for me, I want to go to bed at night knowing that I either helped or had some part in making a friend's day better, or I want to go to bed at night knowing that I helped make an enemy's day real bad. So those are my motivations. But you know, if really for me, it's about when I climb into bed at night, or you know, in recent cases when I climb into bed at 10 in the morning because I pull all-nighters all the time. I want to know that I've made a difference somehow. And I don't think that's an altogether bad thing to just want to make a difference. So I really want to see what I want to hear what some of y'all have to say about that. Motivate me.
And I want to see some photos too. I know that there are some beautiful people that are watching this right now, and I won't call you out on names, but I know there's some gorgeous women, and you need to post a selfie to get in on this. And I want to see your best giraffe. Your best giraffe.
Look, I'll participate if y'all do, and I don't post no doggone selfies. And excuse the sweat because it's like 150 degrees here for some reason. What's the weather like over there, Brian? You showed me it was 78 the other day, you jerk.
Hold on,
Not fair.
I'll put up here right now. It's gorgeous here. I do have the air on because it's 81 degrees in San Diego, so I'm burning hot and having to turn the air on.
I think I'm doing this wrong. There's a timer on it. I'm doing the duck face. I don't care. I don't even care. Okay. So we've got about 4 minutes left. Oh my God, I don't even want to post this. I'll tell you what. If you post your photos, I'll post mine. And this is blackmail worthy, just for the record. So if you want a piece of that, let's see what you got. I'm just saying. No pressure. No pressure. I'm really excited to have both Brian and Katie around. And the reason for that is all of us are a dynamic bunch, okay? Anybody that comes on this show, anybody that we meet, any military spouse that you encounter, any military member, well, we already know their dynamic, so that goes without saying, but we are very, very dynamic. We do what we do for a reason. We're not getting paid for this. We're doing it because we want to. We're doing it because we like to motivate you. These two particular individuals are very gifted in the art of motivation and creativity. If you're not already following them, I highly suggest you should, or find somebody who you think should. And as soon as I figure out the Twitter thing, yes, I said the Twitter. I aged myself. I don't care. I'm going to be all up on there. You can follow me someday as well. What we're going to do is this time around, we are going to, we didn't really see all of those perfect selfies in time, but that does not mean that we don't want to see them. Put that hashtag in there. Tag us if you have us. And I mean that strictly in a social media perspective, by the way. We saw some great conversation in the comments, and so we're choosing the winner to be the winner of next month's book club to be Nicole Weekly. So can I get a woo for Nicole?
Woo. Cheers.
You'll be receiving some information about the book. It's going to be sent to you by our social media team, who is fantabulous. You guys don't really get to see the behind-the-scenes peeps, but let me tell you, they keep things rocking and rolling. So thank you, Brian, and thank you, Katie, so much for joining us this evening. Do you have any last words before we leave?
I'd just like to mention one quick thing about the military spouse program. Being, again, not what a normal military spouse looks like, being a part of the military spouse program has solidified my confidence in being a military spouse and meeting the incredible people that I've had the opportunity to meet, like MJ and my dear friend Katie. I get to keep in contact with them via the internet, and they make my life better. And I just appreciate all of them. Natasha is another one. My girl Lindsay, I know she's watching. You guys are a special breed of people, and I really appreciate all of you. So, cheers to you.
You know, I'm gonna kind of tag on to what Brian said here. It's been amazing being part of the Military Spouse of the Year family, because I've gotten to meet all of the people who are so different than me, and I thought I was the only weird one. I mean, not saying that Brian is weird or anything. It's been so wonderful to get to meet all these different people from all these different areas, and you know, I highly recommend getting out of your comfort zone, getting into your weird zone, and taking that weird zone out and meeting other people, because it's just been amazing. And if you haven't read the book, again, I'm going to flash it on the screen here, because this is my girl. I stalk her on Twitter. She's my BFF. She just doesn't know it yet. And hope to see you guys around here next month, too.
That is amazeballs. Thank you both so much. And that was our latest edition of Military Spouse Book Club. Join us next month. You'll be receiving a registration link and information about next book club's book in that registration link. It's very exciting. We don't just talk about chapters and characters. We talk about how it applies to our lives. We talk about life, and we laugh, and we're authentic, and sometimes MJ takes a duck face selfie. So that is all for tonight. You all have a good night, and that's the word. Bye.